Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
And I am Bill Seller, proud to be here once again with Adam Bruno, founder and president of Evolution Retirement Services and Evolution Wealth Management. Adam is a private wealth manager, and we get together all the time to talk about retirement and your finances. But before we get to that today, Adam, do we want to mention the flag football game you played in, or do you not want to talk about it?
We can. I had a really good so I played competitive flag football up until about, and I'm 40 now, so up until about 3 years ago. And my wife finally said, I think it's time. I said, okay. So I took up golf, and it was awful. Everything about it was awful. I like the game. I enjoy playing, but I'm really bad at it. And so this year I said, you know what? I've been going to the chiropractor. The chiropractor tells me I should do it. I should go back out and play again. So I decided to give it a shot. So yesterday had a really, really great time with the boys. There's a lot of older folks like me that play, and then there's the younger kids, the 21, 22-year-olds. And, I had a great 3-hour session, playing offense and defense, and I just felt great, right, Bill? And then I sat down at the end of the game, and I was talking to all my old friends and everything, and about 15 minutes later, I went to go leave, and I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Welcome to 40, my friend.
Oh, Lord.
You know all those car warranty calls we get all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
To hell with that. I need somebody to come up with a body warranty, because here's my theory. I am fully convinced that the human body comes with a 40-year warranty, and then parts just start going. and as somebody who is way past 40, I can tell you it's an absolute truth.
So you feel like we should definitely have an opportunity to get an extension on that original warranty.
You would think, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah.
Golly, I know how you feel, though. I know how you feel. Oh, man. Well, while you were out playing football, I was out doing a little bit of shopping over the weekend, and I just couldn't help but notice that, boy, if this isn't a sign of the times, right? I'm at a local grocery store, and I had to go to the customer service desk to not really complain, but I had to fix a problem. And I walked over to the customer service desk, and the sign on the desk says, "This lane closed." Boy, if that's not a sign of the times right now, with people being able to help you and everything, right? And then the next day I go to Costco, and they were out of chicken. So I asked the butcher about it. He goes, "Don't believe what you hear about people getting hired, because there is still such a shortage that they can't even package the chicken in the Kirkland packaging to get it out to the shelves because they're hurting for help so much." So,
oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's the problem?
Yeah, wherever they get their chicken from, right? It gets packaged in their special brand packaging, and there's not enough people there to do that. That's what's going on in the world right now.
It's so funny that you bring up customer service, because I think all of us can relate to that in some way, especially people like us that are older now, and we've had some trips around the sun, right? We've seen what really good customer service is. But when you say nothing speaks to the times better than that, I mean, think about if you can go back to 2008, 2009, how amazing customer service was right after that, right? Because now, basically the financial world is collapsing around us. Now people want you to remain clients. They want you to remain coming to their store. So the customer service was phenomenal. And somewhere along the way over the last 10 to 12 years, I feel like customer service has gone downhill. I'll give you a perfect example. The kids and I, when the kids were younger, and even now that they're older, they love going to Disney. So we would take these little trips to Disney for 2 or 3 days, because we're right around the corner here in Florida.
Right.
And, the customer service experience from the Disney cast members used to be just so exceptional. Everybody was happy. Everybody had smiles on their faces. And now you go, and it's a completely different experience. It's not the same. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's just not the same. We had a really unique time period from that 2008 to 2012 time period where wherever you went, customer service seemed to be really, really exceptional. And now, like you said, a sign of the times. If people aren't making as much money, people are getting squeezed at home with interest rates. I mean, that unhappiness boils over to what you do every day, right? So I could see that.
Yeah, and not to bash them, but I've heard that story a lot about Disney lately, and we're huge Disney fans. We used to go all the time as well when our kids were younger, and there was nothing like it. I mean, you could always count on top-notch service, but I'm hearing stories now that it just isn't the same, and that's a shame. It's a shame.
I think
all
it comes
over.
down to the age too, Bill. You know, when you talk to like the older cast members, for example, they have this gentleman. He's a dwarf, but he's like one of the character managers. He's been there since Disney opened, and when he's walking around with the characters as they're in their costume, he still interacts with everybody. And his name was Billy, and he spent probably 40 minutes with my kids and I. We were at one of those brunches at I think it was at the Grand Floridian, and they had the character brunches. Yeah. He talked to us for like 40 minutes about the park and different things about the park that we didn't know. Now, he's an older guy. He's been there since it opened. So the older cast members, I think, get it. They still get, how much people love Disney, and they still love to share the experience. But it's like anything else. Some of the younger kids, if they're not really into it, it's not really the same culture with the younger generation as it is with the older generation. Well, so I could see that. Yeah,
and I've also read, and again, I don't want to stay on this topic, but I've also read where the, that used to be a top priority driven from the very top down. And that isn't being done so much these days, from what I understand. But anyway.
Customer service is all about creating a culture, right, Bill? It doesn't matter if it's Disney or Publix or whatever it is.
Right.
When you have the right customer service, that's what people talk about. I still shop at Publix, and I don't talk about the prices because my Publix crew over there in North Fort Myers, where I live, shout out to them. They know me. I mean, I talk to all of them on a daily basis, and it's service at its finest. So if I'm paying $2 more for my cherries, I'm paying for a service, right? If I go to Walmart at 10 o'clock at night, there's one line open and there's a line back to the jewelry department. You're not getting that same kind of service, right?
And it's a self-checkout register.
And it's a self-checkout, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, so to your point, this whole idea of service and the downgrade that we've seen in it, I think it really does speak to the times. I don't think I've heard it put more eloquently than that, the way that you put it, Bill. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that it's in times like these that a little bit of niceness would go a very long way, right? And what's the old expression? It doesn't cost you a thing to be nice to somebody.
Oh, Bill, and think about the last time you flew, right? These people at the airport, they're upset we even came to fly that day. We go up to, we're smiling at them.
But in their
we're working for the airline.
Yeah, but in their defense, you talk about a place that's understaffed right now. They're having to rearrange flights because they don't have enough pilots, much less people to handle bags and everything.
You're right.
So it's a tough time right now, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to come out better and stronger on the other side, just like we always do. But right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of that. Not good customer service, a lot of skepticism about the future. And heck, I was even reading a story about the confidence in the stock market right now, according to Bank of America, is the lowest it's been in 6 years. And it's called, and again, I don't speak financial language a whole lot, but it's something called the sell side indicator. And it says that right now more people are moving their money out of the stock market than at any time since 2017. So, do you think comparisons to 2008 are valid when you hear stories like that?
I think I think they are in a way, because here's what happened in 2008. In 2008, we all just got blindsided, and then everybody's selling right away. It was just an immediate thing. It wasn't something that built up like it has now. I think from the difference from 2008 to now is that people have lived through that before. So now they have the experience to say, okay, I'm going to start selling right now. I'm going to sell. They're trying to time the market a little bit more. So they're just trying to sell, and then they're trying to maybe buy when they feel like something's at its lowest. I think the average investor is a lot more educated in today's day and age, even than they were in 2008. So I think to your point, there's definitely some merit to, I'm seeing a lot of families who are very cash heavy right now. I think that even more so, there's a lot of, especially, retirees, the older crowd, they don't want to time the market at all. They just want to get out and wait. And I don't know what they're waiting on. Sometimes they don't know what they're waiting on. But
right.
The reality is, I could see a lot more people selling right now. But, again, not to underscore the fact that people are selling a lot in this environment anyway. That's why it's so volatile. That's why we've seen it going up and going down. They're trying to time the market. And when you do that, that's when you see the heartbeat rhythm, on the market. Yeah. It goes down, then up, down, then up, down, then up. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing a lot more selling going on. I think 2008 was a little bit different because everybody kind of just sold at once, right? I mean, some people held on, God bless them, but a lot of people were scared and just sold all at once.
Well, and like you said too, the 2008 was based on real estate. And
Right.
it did kind of blindside everybody, whereas you kind of felt this coming when the pandemic started, right? You saw a few things, things were not going well, especially when the world shut down, and then we had supply issues and people not working and all that. So, but the other thing that you said about timing the market, I had somebody tell me once, the trick about that is that you've got to time it right twice, right? When to get out and when to get back in if you're playing that game.
That's why I said so many of the older crowd, they're fine with selling because the reality is they've had it for 20 or 30 years, so they have gains, right?
Right. Well, you
so
hope.
they're fine with selling.
You hope.
But getting back in, again, that's why they're so tentative right now, and that's that whole idea of recession, right? Everybody's taking a step back, whether we want to tie it to the numbers or not. People are taking a step back, and that's what I believe a recession is. So to your point, yeah, you have to be able to time it coming out, but then you have to be able to figure out when do I go back in. And honestly, I just don't see it working out a lot of the times and you're going to hear your buddies on the golf course talking about how they did it and they bought Tesla at this, then they sold and they did this and they traded options. Who has time for all of that? The average person doesn't want to do those things.
No, absolutely. And, I don't even really gamble because I don't have good luck. So I can't imagine trying to time the market twice to get in and to get out. So, and, getting back to where we started the podcast, really talking about lack of service because there aren't enough people working in those industries and what have you. I found this kind of interesting too. Coming off the report in June showing a steep decline in job openings, apparently 528,000 jobs were added in July, which dropped the unemployment rate to 3.5%. This is according to a report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it really kind of defied expectations of a hiring slowdown as the Fed continues to raise rates to fight inflation. Plus, there are a lot of layoffs. I mean, high-profile layoffs at places like Walmart and Robinhood. So in a year where nothing else has made sense, this just kind of seems par for the course, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when numbers are that big, when you're dealing with numbers that you can't even picture in your head, right? It's real easy. I mean, think of just, a decimal point being off one point, right?
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I don't have my tin hat on today, but there are things that I question. I question, the validity of our voting process right now. I think that that's always, and even before this last election, I think that I've always questioned the validity of the process and how it works because I can't see it. And to your point, when you can't see you see a report that just says, well, we added 500,000 plus jobs. When you can't break that down line by line and see where that came from, I think you're just like me. You're going to be a little skeptical about that, especially, like you said, giving the timing of it all, right? It's just, It feels like it's getting wrapped up in a nice little bow, right? It's horrible. So.
And not that I'm a conspiracy guy and saying, oh, look, we added 500,000 jobs as we get closer to the midterm elections. I'm not one of those guys. but with everything that's gone on in the last, almost 10 years, really, as far as politics goes, you have to wonder sometimes.
Bill, and that's the real shame of it all. Everybody's kind of drawn their line in the sand and picked it, put on their armor and picked up the swords, and they're all ready to fight. And we're all divided now. And while we're divided, what has happened in the last 10? Think about what this country looked like 10 years ago compared to what it looks like now, right? It's just, and nobody sees it. Nobody says anything. I mean, you're fine behind your keyboard on social media blasting somebody that you don't know for their beliefs, but face to face, that's the dangerous part of the world that we live in now. Mike Tyson said it best. Social media made everybody real comfortable with saying things and not getting punched in the mouth for it. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah, social media to me is such a double-edged sword. You're absolutely right, because it does. I mean, I always told my kids, don't ever write anything on social media you wouldn't have the nerve to say to somebody's face, right?
The testicular fortitude to say to somebody's
there you go. Yes. So you do understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
Because it's just so easy to be mean. And social media has really turned us into a society of if you don't agree with me, well, then you're stupid and I no longer want to discuss this with you. Whereas I grew up in a world of, hey, you know what? Let's just agree to disagree. Right. And see where things go. And I worked with a guy once, a mentor of mine years ago, who always told me, he says, listen, I like to argue with somebody every day. I was like, why do you want to argue every day? Because one of two things happens. One, I win and feel really good about myself. Or two, I learned something and I feel good about myself.
Exactly. Iron sharpens iron, right? My dad used to say the same thing. He used to say things to me like, we didn't have social media when I was growing up, but when I would go to school and I'd be getting a little cocky with my athletic ability or something, he'd always say to me, son, don't start letting your mouth write checks that your ass can't cash. That's what he would say to me, and it's the truth. If you just have that mentality, there's a difference between having a spirited debate and, I think you learn something whether you win or lose. Even if you win, you still learn something because you learn what the other side is really, what their points are they're trying to drive home. And that's the unfortunate thing about our society. Somewhere along the way, we lost the ability to do that. And I think retirees and people that are nearing retirement, that generation, I think that it makes them feel very, very lonely and very vulnerable to try and have a discussion with anybody else. Get off my yard with the younger generation.
Exactly.
Like there's no appeal to them to try and have a discussion with somebody who might be 10 or 15 years younger than them.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, it's a double-edged sword, like I said, but it's the world we live in, and hopefully we'll navigate that as well and come out on the other side of the social media world, hopefully a little bit better off as a society. Just all we can do is keep our fingers crossed. So.
Well, Bill, and I see a lot of hope. I've had the privilege of mentoring some younger, advisors, and they weren't there yet, so I'm still using the air quotes. They were just, we'll call them salesmen when I met them. But the reality is that we provide a very important service, and we have a responsibility. When we are licensed and we've gone through all of this training and we've done all of these things to become who we are, it doesn't just mean that we went through all this training so that we can get more sales. We went through this training so that we could be better and we could make this, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the industry. We can make this industry better because right now, this is a very intense industry. Obviously, you have people that have had horrible experiences with financial advisors or financial professionals, and you can't erase those experiences, but you can learn from them and move forward. So, I have the same conversation with the younger generation now. I find a lot of hope in our younger generation of advisors, our younger generation, our teams behind the investments. I feel like I've been blessed to meet some younger kids who are definitely, they're on the point with when it comes to politics and bills and laws. And it's refreshing because they're actually talking about bills. They're not just saying something like, oh, well, this is going to happen. They actually are, they know, they have documentation showing what's going to happen. So I'm impressed by the research. Now, again, that's not everyone. It's probably not even half of everyone, but there is a percentage of the younger generation who gets it and who are trying to take steps to be better and trying to bridge that gap between this younger generation and this older clientele base. Because the reality is, even myself, I grew up in an Italian household, lots of friends, lots of relatives. I grew up a certain way with respect and with how you treated people. But not everybody does that anymore. Like you said, if you grow up with social media, the respect just gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times my kids have been bullied over Snapchat or whatever it is. So, and people that they don't even know. And that's what I say to them. Like, don't even give that a second thought. These are people you don't even know. But that's the environment we live in now. And I feel like that younger generation, there's still some hope, I guess, is where I'm going with this. I feel like there's some hope.
Well, you're right. I can't disagree with you because you can't continue to live that way. And you know what? That younger generation is going to get older if all goes well. They're going to get older just like all of us do. And I thought this was a kind of a cool thing, too. A recent survey from ARP found that 4 out of 5 people between the ages of 50 and 69 would be willing to take a pill that would extend their life by 10 years. And if you could extend your life and your health, then almost 9 out of 10 people said, yes, give me that pill. And now, of course, that's quite a what if, and we'd all love to have it.
Who was the 10th person that said they wouldn't do it? Wow, their life must be miserable, huh?
Well, yeah, probably somebody who tried to play flag football at 70 and couldn't get up the next day.
Get a nice shot in on me. I love it, Bill. I love it.
But, getting older, of course, then brings in the complications of living longer, making sure our portfolio can handle it. Also, cost of health care as we get older, right? I mean, this all becomes a bigger issue the longer we're around after we retire.
And it's not just health care, it's the Medicare Part A and B cost. Well, A you get for free, but the Medicare Part B costs, they're going up 20% every year lately. So there's a lot of costs when it comes to health care. But I will say this, though. I've done a lot of thinking about this. I always listen to our podcasts that we've done before, and mostly because when I have my son Maverick in the car, he's 19 months old. If I'm driving him home from somewhere, if I put my voice on just talking like this, it puts him to sleep within like 5 minutes. He's out. So, but no, seriously, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, Bill. I think what it comes down to when we talk about our portfolio and whether we have enough money to last for retirement, it's that switch that we have to make. We've been so disciplined, especially successful families. They've been so disciplined to accumulate their wealth, and they continue to do that even after they're retired. They feel comfortable in that environment, accumulation. And the key to a successful portfolio in retirement is consistent compounded returns, not 30% gains in my IRA that I'm still going to be subject to taxes on. Think about it like this: a 30% gain in your IRA when you're at that age is not going to change your lifestyle at all. It just means that you have to pay more taxes at that point. If we just have consistent 5 to 8% returns every year, most of us are going to be just fine. And our, for our families, we have a program called Retirement Analyzer, and it maps it out for them over the next 20 years, what their investments look like compared to their income needs. And my partner Kurt and I, all we do is assume a 5% growth every year. We don't assume anything crazy. You would be amazed by how many people are just fine that come in, but they're worried though. They're convinced they're going to run out of money. But we can show them right here, with inflation added in too, you're going to be just fine. Most successful families don't have an income problem. They end up having a huge tax problem. And when I say problem, they just end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more than they need to in taxes.
Which is why you need to talk to Adam and his group, right? Because they're the ones that can help you deal with that, plan for that, and put things in the right places to make sure that when that time comes around, you're not overpaying in taxes, right? That's what you and the good folks at Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are all about.
Absolutely. And again, Bill, it comes down to this idea that we have a heart to help right now, especially in the community. And this has been great. The podcast has opened us up to other communities across the country. We're in Southwest Florida. We're in Fort Myers. But I've talked to people in California. I've talked to people in Arizona. I've talked to people all over the country. Now, we don't work with everybody that contacts us, but our goal is to help everyone who comes into contact with us and they have questions about their retirement. And it's as simple as that. There's no catch. There's no gimmicks. It's obviously we might identify people that we can work with, but it has to be the right fit and it has to be the same goals. So most of the time, I'm just happy delivering a foundation for someone. I'm happy showing them why they don't have to worry about income. And if they do have to worry about income, obviously there's things that they can do, but in most cases with successful families that we see, they don't have an income problem. It's that tax problem. And I'm even happier when we can point that out to them and show them some definitive strategies that they can use. Whether it's with us or without us, they're able to put into play these strategies that could save them money. So everything we do is completely, no cost when you contact us. I try and talk to everybody that contacts us. I have a team here of highly trained, highly educated professionals. And what happens is we're all on the same page. Our CPAs, our estate planning attorneys, our other advisors here in the office. I like to call us private wealth managers. I know, Bill, we've talked about that before. Yeah, sure. This term financial advisor has a lot of stigma attached to it.
I've shortened it to PWMs.
PWMs. I like that. Our PWMs. Everybody's on the same page. We all train the same way. We all follow the same process. So anybody here that you talk to is going to be able to give you some really good insight, going to be able to kind of show you that foundation that you've been looking for as far as what does this look like. All we can do is show you what you're dealing with, right? We can show you a snapshot of your situation. You can make the decisions on your own if you wanted to, on how you can make changes if it's needed.
Absolutely. And this is why you want to get in touch with Adam and his team at Evolution Retirement Services. You can find them online at evolutionretirementservices.com. And also make sure, I'm going to throw another website at you here. It's called taxfreefortmyers.com. And make sure you spell out the word Fort, F-O-R-T, taxfreefortmyers.com. Adam has written a book. It's called They Lied, The Real Cost of Your Retirement, answering questions that a lot of people have when they get into retirement. And, of course, the biggest question is, why didn't I know about that? So Adam has written a great book, and it's called They Lied, The Real Cost of Your Retirement. You can get a free downloaded copy at taxfreefortmyers.com.
Yes, Bill, and they can actually hear all of the other podcasts as well. Hopefully you like or subscribe or follow whatever button you have there on your screen when you listen to us, because I enjoy these podcasts because there's no red tape. You're getting myself, you're getting Bill. We're just, like you heard today, all we're doing is talking about the topics, talking about the issues. But taxfreefortmyers.com, that was created to be a resource for anybody who went to it. And all you do is leave your email, and you can do it multiple times if you want. If you want to download the book on your phone, then you want to download it on your computer, or whatever it is. It's the site is compatible with any device. So you're able to download the book and share it. I wanted this book to start a conversation. That's what I really wanted it to do, because we're not talking about the things that could significantly change our industry right now. And just the topics in this book, if more professionals talked about these things, we'd have less worry from our retirees. And Bill, you and I have talked about this before. The retirees are the ones that always get squeezed. It feels like somebody's always holding them upside down and shaking them till the quarters fall out of the pants, right? Every last penny comes out. So, this was for me, it was my donation to society, because nothing changes until we start a conversation. And what a conversation starter when you realize the things that you should have been told but weren't.
And this is what the book is for. They lied. The real cost of your retirement, taxfreefortmyers.com. And again, like Adam said, please, however you're listening to this, hit your like, subscribe, I want more, whatever the button says. Please do that. And we would really appreciate it as we continue to build our audience. We're so happy that you are a part of it. And just in case you want to talk to Adam, here's a phone number, 866-838-3765. That's how you get in touch with Adam and the team at Evolution Retirement Services. Well, buddy, I can't tell you that it's amazing to me how fast 30 minutes goes by when we get together, but here we are. And
Bill, I got to tell you, today was a lot of fun, because I think people recognize when they listen to us, we're just two guys who are trying to share a message, and that's really what this is all about. Getting the conversation started. Nothing changes until the conversation started. Sure, you can listen to other podcasts with other advisors, and they're talking about the latest gee whiz wow investment, but that's not going to change anything. All that we're doing is prolonging the inevitable here. Something needs to change in this country, especially the way we treat retirees.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And on that note, I'm going to let you go.
Sure.
Put some ice on your body to get over the flag football thing. And
Just the knee. It's the knee.
Oh, just the knee. Okay.
Well, I had new cleats too, so my feet hurt for the last 12 hours. Now they're starting to kind of come back to the normal zone of pain here.
Man, the knee goes. Now you're complaining about new shoes. It's just
get off my yard.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to affect or attempt to affect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.